Hi, and welcome to Chapel Hill Maker. I'm Rachel, and I love knitting and making here in overcast Chapel Hill, North Carolina. I am so happy that you can join me today. I have some works in progress, some acquisitions, some plans, of course, and a couple announcements. So I'm going to just jump in and get to it. First off, just wanted to tell you how to find me outside of YouTube. I am Chapel Hill Maker on both Instagram and Ravelry, and would love for you to give me a follow over on those platforms so we can continue our conversation. Wanted to give you an update on the Stitches and Strides MKAL, which is Move and Knit Along. For those of you who have joined, you know that we are already having a really good time over there. We just finished our first week, and this will go until the end of summer. So we are conducting all of this on a Discord channel. Don't let that intimidate you. Just click the link in the notes and it'll show you how to sign up. And it's been super fun getting to know people from all over the country that I wouldn't otherwise have occasion to chat with. And it's been a really supportive and encouraging, sort of gentle hand at your back for more movement. And oh, there's Miss Mary Poppins. And we haven't even gotten to prizes yet. So Brette has given me the honor of announcing who our donors are for our amazing prizes. And we are incredibly grateful to everybody who has been willing to help us out in this effort, because I think this has resonated with so many people. Everybody, I think, wants to incorporate a little bit more healthy mindfulness into our making and into our daily life. And, you know, it's such a great way. A lot of us knit to reduce stress, but also movement is, to me, is the ultimate stress reducer. So I don't love exercise, and this has been a really good way for me to sort of engage with it in a healthy way that makes me excited to do it. So our prizes are going to come in 3 different forms. We have amazing patterns being donated by Alicia Plummer, Erika from Grapefruit and Gardenias, who also has a really cute YouTube channel, and Ashley Sauder. If you remember my share from last week of my finished object, which I just happen to have it right here. She is going to donate her very first pattern, Ashley Sauder, which is the summer solstice, or the solstice saddle sweater. I always mess up the name, but she is going to donate this pattern when it comes out, which is going to be very soon. So those 3 are donating patterns. The first 2 are donating any pattern that you choose from their pattern library. And then we are also going to be giving away gifts from Twinkle Dimple, which she makes the cutest stitch markers. From Knitworthy Yarns, I believe they are going to be donating a Knitkins bag to the lucky winner. And also the Knitting Place, that amazing yarn store up north, is going to be donating a gift that we're not 100% sure yet, but it sounds like it's going to be exciting. Lastly, Brette from Knit for Life is going to also donate a free virtual Knit for Life assessment in helping to give us some advice for knitting longevity. She's a physical therapist and has just really good stretches and advice over on her channel, over in her Knit for Life wellness app. And I think the prizes are amazing, and we're so grateful to everybody who's donated for them. For us, the prize is all of the excitement and the involvement in it, and it's been just super fun. So I hope you will join us. Then my second announcement. Last episode, I talked about celebrating my 3,000 subscriber giveaway, and you guys came up with just the best comments, the nicest comments. I think I couldn't get my head out of the clouds for the whole time that I was reading them, and wanted to thank everybody who's been here from the beginning, who's joined me as a new subscriber. You guys are awesome. Thank you. ChatGPT and I had a really good time playing with all of the data that you guys shared in the comments, because I asked you to tell me what pattern you would like to win. I'm giving away 3 patterns. And after this, I'm going to drop in a video of me, selecting those winners from a random comment generator. But, well, I'll post it right here. ChatGPT gave me this really beautiful infographic, and I wanted to share, and I may put a little more information in the show notes if I can get to it. But the top patterns that you guys mentioned was number 1, the Norma, which was meant by My Favorite Things Knitwear, which was mentioned 36 times. It sounds like we are bound to have a knit along here. The second one was the Love Letter Tank by Kudavakika, or Veronica Limburg, was mentioned 20 times. And then a distant third was the Lakes Crew cardigan by Ozetta, which had 4 mentions. I have to dig through and see. I feel like it was mentioned more times than that, but all 3 are phenomenal patterns. And just to give you a heads up, the favorite designers that were mentioned, Rebecca Clow was mentioned 5 times, Petite Knit was mentioned 4 times, and Andrea Mowry was also mentioned in 4 different patterns. Again, I have to fact check these, but I've had fun sort of going through all of the mentions. And I'm going to put together a list of all of the patterns that you guys talked about, because there were some in there that I had never heard of, and it was really fun to go look those up. 47 different patterns were mentioned by 21 different designers. And as I said, Norma was sort of the most talked about, but that doesn't surprise me because, number 1, it's a great pattern. There are 3 different versions of the Norma and maybe even a hat, but I don't think anybody talked about that. And also, you guys got to hear me talk about mine in the last episode, and I'm going to update you on that again. But I'm going to drop in the video right now of me selecting the winners with the random comment generator. So congratulations to all of the winners. And here it is. Okay, so I wanted to pick the winners on camera, but I will drop this video in the right spot on my video because I assume I'm going to screw it up. But basically just have a random comment generator here on my iPad. I used the word pattern, 3 winners for 3,000 subscribers, and let's see what happens. It's thinking. Oh, it's finding them. Oh, this is so cool. Oh, and 3. Yay! Okay, so here are my winners. Here, if these are you guys, please reach out with your Ravelry names. You can email me and I will send you your chosen pattern. I'm so excited. Your patterns. Yay! So let's jump into knitting content now that we have all of the admin out of the way. Today I am wearing the Farnham tee by Sophie of the Knit Pearl Girl, and I knit this in Sandnesgarn Line, which is a DK weight yarn, linen. It's a linen and viscose blend. My favorite thing about this has to be the shoulders. I love how these stripes meet here and go down. For me, it's an oversized, just really airy and comfy shirt. I did this in, I think this was called Tiger Orange and Rose, something that I can't remember, but I'll link to my Ravelry page. I loved combining it looks like white, but I loved combining the pink and the orange together. And when you're close up, you can kind of tell, but it's a great top. It's super cozy. I can just throw it on. I'm wearing it with a pair of linen pants today, my usual summer wardrobe. And I would say this is a pattern that is good for a sort of adventurous beginner. She gives so much detail in this pattern, so that if you are new to a lot of the techniques, picking up stitches and all of that, she explains all of them, and she's a really good teacher. She also has a great YouTube channel, and I love hearing about her design process. And now I'm going to get into works in progress. So I feel like I'm flying here. Maybe it's because I've had 2 cups of coffee, but that's okay. It's summer. We're all short on time. Let's see how it goes, and hopefully I don't skip things in my notes. But I'm going to get into works in progress. I'm just going to talk about the ones that I worked on since my last episode, and it's been pretty heavily Norma. But I did head out of town to go visit family last weekend, and so it was too big for me to fit in my bag. We just flew carry-on, with carry-on luggage. So I did pull out my Kirsten shirt, and she got a little bit of love. Now I am on to the back. You can see here, this is sort of the sleeve. It's knit. So I'll put a picture of this here. This was an update from the Sauder archives, and it was a pattern by Helga. It is a pattern by Helga Sauder, and she is updating patterns from the original Sauder archives, which is really a neat. It's such a neat project, and there's so many beautiful patterns in there. This one has a little polo neck on it, really cute. Sort of this bottom part hits right here, mid bust, and goes around. I had to modify this a little bit because I'm doing size 1. I think maybe my gauge is a little bit loose, so I started my underarm a little early. So I'm hoping that doesn't bite me on the bottom later. But yeah, it doesn't look like much yet. It's like I said, it's knit side to side, which feels really risky to me because I can't sort of adjust things on the fly, as I'll have to really rip out the whole thing if there's a problem, which would be sad. But I'm just gonna go for it and assume this has a lot of stretch to it. I don't want the bottom to be too loose because I'm afraid it'll look kind of circus tenty on me. So I'm really excited to see where this is going. I'm kind of looking forward to getting to the meat of the pattern, if you will. Like, the top looks super fun to make. My swatch is somewhere here. They have you do a swatch that basically shows what the pattern is going to look like. You practice some of the techniques, and it has a welt right here where you pick up. So like this would be the bottom, and this is what the top's going to kind of look like. And I am using Camellia Fiber Co. in the, this is her flax fingering, which is 50% alpaca, 25% linen, and 25% silk. It's a fingering weight, non-superwash, and the color is Blue Poppy. And this is really, really soft. I don't think it's going to have any prickles, even with the linen in it, which sometimes does offer a little bit of that. And then the other yarn that I'm using, the darker blue, is Amy Scher's Comfort Silk Linen, which is really the same fabric makeup, except for instead of alpaca, it's merino. And it too is so soft. And this is the color Forget Me Not. I think she's coming out with new fall colors in this too. It's a beautiful yarn. I really love it. I've blocked the beginning of it, and I did not get a lot of like size change, gauge change. And I just really enjoy how these little garter ribs are working up. And this, at this stage of the game, is a pretty mindless make. And so it was nice to have for travel. And I'm just going to keep plugging away at it. It's not like a exciting make at this point. I have a feeling once I get all the way around the body and I start the shirt part of it, it'll go a lot faster and it'll feel kind of more fun to me. So I brought that with me up to visit our family in New Jersey, which we had such a good time. And then the other thing I brought for just sort of quick knitting are my UNC inspired socks, which I am planning to give to my daughter if I ever finish them. And I also cast this on for sort of treadmill knitting. I've been trying to go out in the afternoons and just do a slow walk and bring some knitting with me on the treadmill. And once it cools down, maybe I'll do it outside, but it's been nice to have. I haven't had a sock going since hockey season because that's normally where my sock knitting gets done. So yeah, and I have that in my little Knitkins bag by Knitworthy. It has a carabiner so you can attach it to your belt loop. Most of the time if I'm knitting and walking, I put it over my wrist, or I stick it in the yarn holder on the treadmill, which I figure treadmill companies must want you to knit while you're walking, or else they wouldn't put a yarn holder on there. I mean, maybe it says cup holder, but we all know it's a yarn holder. So those are my 2 WIPs that kept me busy while we were traveling. But now I want to get to Norma because I can't put it down. I love this so much and I cannot wait. It was so worth restarting and having it fit the way I want. And I have, look, here's the whole, I've done the whole body up until the hem, which I'm going to do after I do the sleeves. I have finished the first sleeve. And if you are like me and you have short arms, you will need to adjust the decrease rate because she has you decrease in the blank spaces. And for her pattern, she has you decreasing every two stitches for each blank space. And so I knew my arms would be way too, it would outgrow me. So I ended up doing 3 in each one and just space them out evenly within that blank space. And I don't think it looks, it looks pretty gradual to me. Then I just did a 1x1 cuff and an Italian sewn bind off. I did not do the set off rows, but I think it came out pretty good. I'm pretty pleased with that. I left I left my needles on and my yarn attached. I just sort of closed up I held the 2 cables together with locking stitch markers and kind of locked my yarn in there so that it wouldn't get in the way of continually turning the sweater as I did the sleeves. I know people talk about that like salad bowl technique. I just haven't tried it yet. I'm tempted. But this worked out really well. So it's not like, so there's nothing like hanging out the bottom, and yarn management is a little bit of an issue with 3 colors at once. And I'm holding them double. So it's sort of 6 strands at once as you go. And I am still trying to decide about the cardigan, but I'm pretty sure that's where I'm leaning. If you can see, I put some waste yarn in to kind of get an idea of how the cardigan's going to look. It's so pretty. The uninterrupted pattern is so pretty. So that's my, that's kind of my holdup. But I don't know. I think it would be fun. Honestly, that's my whole motivation to to turn it into a cardigan is I think steeking is fun. So I might. Stay tuned. I hope to have this finished by the next time I record. And this is our Rhinebeck sweater. Everybody, if you haven't been to Rhinebeck or you don't know about Rhinebeck, it is it's the New York Sheep and Wool Festival, colloquially named Rhinebeck to everybody probably who doesn't live in Rhinebeck. And it is a huge weekend celebrating knitting. It's celebrating wool and the Hudson Valley, and there are pop-up events that sort of go in tandem, and our group tries to pick out a sweater that we knit together every year. This will be our 3rd year doing this, and this is going to be ours this year. So if you've been here for the whole ride with me, you may remember our Knit Purl repeat sweater from last year, which was just so much fun to make. So, but back to Norma. I am knitting this out of Purl Soho's linen quill, which is stuck on my table. And I talked about this at length in my last episode. This is really sort of, like I said, one of my ride or die yarns. I am holding this double. I haven't blocked Norma yet, but once you block this, it softens and it becomes really lovely and pliable. And it is 50% Highland wool, 35% alpaca, and 15% linen. And this is my main color, and it is oatmeal gray. And it is, you know, it has a little bit of tonality to it, which gives it a really nice heathered look. And then I'm holding them double, and I'm just pulling from the outside and the inside together so that I don't have 6 balls of yarn, and that has worked fairly well for me. It hasn't knotted up. It's pulled pretty evenly. And last time I think I had said linen quill was on sale, and then by the time I got my video edited, it had already come off sale. But now they are having their 24th birthday sale, and I think it'll go for another couple of days. So hopefully I can edit quickly and put this up, and I'll include my affiliate link as well, which is a really easy way to support the channel, but no pressure, obviously. At any rate, if you've been thinking about trying any of their yarns, now's a good time. They do go on sale fairly often, so it's worth sort of waiting a week or two just so you can save a good bit of money. If you've never ordered from them before, they do give, I think, 20% off your first order. But right now, I think everything is 24% off. So that is Norma. Oh, I didn't tell you my contrast colors. So this green here is called Fresh Pickle, and the light Carolina blue is called Light Cerulean. And I have gotten a lot of really nice comments about my color choice. And as I talked about it previously, I really walked outside, and I don't know, you can't really tell here, but I walked outside and just looked up at sort of the whole view of the trees and the sky and my driveway, and it just sort of clicked. I'll put the picture here that I used as my inspiration. And choosing colors is not always something that I find totally easy. And so it was like one of those that has just sort of snapped, and I really am glad that you've liked it. So those are my 3 works in progress. I didn't bring my yarn up, so this isn't going to be that exciting for me to talk about, but I think my next cast on is going to be the Gigha by Rebecca Clow. And if you remember from my WIPs video, I have those crocheted granny squares, the daisies. I'll put a picture here because they're downstairs too. But you can use those like granny squares in the side panels. And so when I saw that, it sort of a little lightning bolt went off in my head that like, oh, maybe that's a good way for me to repurpose those granny squares that I've already made. If I can get more of the main color yarn, I think that's what I'm gonna use to make that. And if I can't, then I'm just gonna use some of the Sandnes Line that I have in my stash. So that is my upcoming plans. I'll talk more about that as I get sort of closer. I know I talked about the waves dress last time, and I am still planning on that too. I'm waiting for that to sort of bubble up and want to be made, which I think is going to be soon. I think that'll be a fall cast on. Okay, so now I have my I have acquisitions that I didn't put in my notes, which is not helpful. While we were up in New Jersey visiting family this past weekend, we went and did a little like drive down memory lane. And my husband's family, his dad's side of the family, has been in New Jersey for well over a century. And so it was cool. We had dug into some family archives and found different addresses and locations that they had lived in. And so we went to Bloomfield, New Jersey, which is where they were from. And if you have family that grew up there in the early 1900s, there was a luncheonette there that was owned by my late father-in-law's grandparents. And so it was cool. We drove by where that was, where he grew up, where he lived when he first met my mother-in-law. And it was like a really cool ride along. And then when we were first married, we lived in Upper Montclair, New Jersey, which we rented like a third floor apartment in one of their old like Victorian homes. And so we took our kids by there so they could see where we lived and drove them through the town, which is a really cute little town. And so in Montclair, I, of course, Googled yarn stores, and there was a lovely yarn store called Yarnia, which is a great name, and they were so sweet. And even though I didn't have a lot of room in my bag, so I couldn't buy yarn, I ended up buying this really cute Notions pouch, and it was handmade. It's from a company called Montclair Made, and it is, I think they sewed this on some muslin fabric so that it looks like notebook paper. And then look at the cute, I don't know, can you see the cute polka dot fabric inside? And I am a sucker for a little pouch, and I'm going to put this to good use. And I love that it was made, here's their tag, it was made in Montclair. And so it's a good little memory of that. And then I also got this kit from Embroidery and Sage, and it is a single color embroidery kit, and they give you everything that you need. And this is for Top of the Rock in New York City. So it's the New York City skyline with Rockefeller Center right in the middle. And I actually started this on the plane, and you can see the areas that I've already done. I'm not like an amazing embroiderer, and it was still so relaxing and fun, and I'm looking forward to sort of seeing this all continue to fill in. And it's a good little souvenir of our trip. And I grew up in New York, so it's a little, taste of home. And then it comes with like a felt backing so you can finish it. And it came with everything you needed, including, instructions. And if you are just getting started on embroidery, this is great because it's just straight stitch and back stitch, and that is it. So I'm hoping by the time I finish, I will be amazing at both of those. So those are my two acquisitions from Yarnia. And when I posted that on Instagram, I heard they also have a podcast, so I'm excited to check that out too. Now on to active news cycle avoidance. Last episode, I talked about how I had started the book I See You Called In Dead by John Kenny. And I finished that, and I loved it so much. It was a really nice surprise to me. It was a little bit sad, but really hopeful. Some dark humor about facing our own mortality and kind of how we all engage with that topic. And, I think that's such an important thing for us all to think about, is kind of how we want to be remembered or how we want to be seen. And as a mom, I think about how I want my kids to kind of think about who I am to them. And, obviously that's something we form in our day-to-day lives, but also it was a really great kind of, just read it. I recommend it. I don't want to give anything away, but it was really a great way to sort of think about who we are as people and how we move around in the world and interact with each other. And then I started at, a bunch of you guys recommended The Calamity Club by Catherine Stockett. And that had been in my Libby queue for a long time, and finally came up at the perfect time, right when I was finishing the previous book. And it is so good. It's long. It's a long listen. I think it's like 30 hours, but I'm halfway through, and you just feel like you're sort of tucking in with these characters. They're so well written. Her writing is very sort of southern and lugubrious, and it's about a group of women who are basically trying to make their way in post or just post Depression Mississippi. And it's beautiful. It's beautifully narrated. You kind of can feel them making some like questionable decisions, and I have to sort of step away because I don't want bad things to happen to them, but it's funny in parts and really insightful, and so far I'm loving it. Thank you guys for the recommendation. And then the last thing I have is my podcast recommendation. And I usually try, or I pretty much always try to recommend smaller channels because that's how people get noticed, and ones that I enjoy watching and that I sort of get some, nutritional value from. And the one I am talking about today is Blindly Knitting. And Kay is a knitter in New Zealand who is losing some of her central vision, and she continues to knit on, and so that's where the name of her podcast comes from. She is just really sweet and chill, and I love the patterns that she chooses. She's sort of does a really good job of walking you through her process and where she finds mistakes and where she finds things with trouble with patterns and where she has, where she's happy with. And she does a really good job of chronicling her patterns, her projects, and you get a little slice of life in New Zealand. I thoroughly enjoy watching people in the Southern Hemisphere just because their lives are sort of switched to ours weather-wise and sort of seeing what they're up to. And so go check Kay out at Blindly Knitting. I think you'll really like her. I have, and she's got I would say she has maybe 7 or 8 podcasts at this point, and they're all delightful. So I hope that you'll give that a watch. And again, I wanted to thank you guys so much for all of the comments in the last episode. I had so much fun with them. I don't even know how many times can I say thank you. And I love interacting with all of you in all of the different ways that modern technology has for us to interact, and some of you in person. And so I just wanted to, again, thank you so much for liking, subscribing, engaging, commenting, and knitting, and all of the wonderful ings. And thank you so much for watching. Bye.